माननीय उपसभापति जी, ये सप्लीमेंट्री ग्रांट जो बजट के संबंध में आई हैं, इसमें अधिकतर सदस्यों ने भाग लिया है। मैं उन सबका आभारी हूं। कुल मिलाकर 1,03,013 रुपए और 74 पैसे ये सप्लीमेंट्री ग्रांट की अनुमति मांगी है। और अभी श्री प्रेमचंद्रन ने कहा कि जो टेक्निकल सप्लीमेंट्री है, इसमें 1,03,000 में से वो लगभग 82,064 करोड़ की है, जो कि एफसीआई को दिया जा रहा है, फूड कॉरपोरेशन को। ये टेक्निकल एफसीआई इसलिए है कि ये पैसा एफसीआई को दिया जाएगा और फिर सरकार के पास वापस आ जाएगा। ये ग्रांट नहीं है। This is being paid to the FCI. It's a loan which we will be giving to the FCI and taking it back. और उसके पीछे मूल कारण यह है कि FCI कि क्योंकि वित्तीय स्थिति उनकी बहुत अच्छी नहीं है, उनको अगर बैंक से पैसा लेना पड़ता है तो FCI को 10.5% के करीब ब्याज देना पड़ेगा। अगर भारत सरकार लेती है या कोई राज्य सरकार लेती है तो जितने अमाउंट के ऊपर सरकारें उधार लेती हैं बाजार से, जिसको हम 10 ईयर बॉन्ड्स का G-Sec रेट मानते हैं, एक स्थिति थी कि सरकार को 9% से ऊपर कुछ वर्ष पहले तक लेना पड़ता था। वो 9% प्लस से नीचे आया और उसका कुछ संबंध जो फिस्कल डिसिप्लिन हम लोग फॉलो करते हैं और हमारी जो ग्रोथ है उसके साथ होता है। तो 9% प्लस से लाते लाते इस साल जब मैंने बजट पेश किया था तो उस दिन 7.95 के करीब था। महीना डेढ़ महीना पहले 7.3 था और अब शायद 7.15 के करीब है। So government borrowings are becoming cheaper because of the G-Sec rates. और अगर हम उस रेट पे लेकर एफसीआई को देते हैं तो लगभग एफसीआई 3-3.25% बचाती है, और क्योंकि उसकी अपनी माली स्थिति अच्छी नहीं है तो एफसीआई को फायदा है। तो इट्स अ टेक्निकल सप्लीमेंट्री इन द सेंस दैट वी आर एडवांसिंग द मनी which will carry a lesser rate of interest and we'll get our monies back. The cost of interest itself will be borne by the FCI, not by the government itself. And that is why this 82,064, the answer to Mr. Premchandra's question, why are you giving so much money to the FCI? This is the response to it. It's a part of prudent fiscal planning. जो बाकी पैसा है, जो कैश आउटगो है, वो है 20,948 रुपए, 20,948। और इसमें जो एक बड़ा कंस्टिट्यूएंट है वो है मनरेगा का। अब मुझे लगता है कि कुछ बहस सदन में होती है, एक आध बार उसकी गलतफहमी हो सकती है। मिस्टर वेणुगोपाल रेज्ड दिस क्वेश्चन अगेन टुडे, इट हैज बीन रेज्ड इन द पास्ट। I think governments must be judged by how much do they actually spend on Manrega. From 2010-11, I have always been saying that there was a system of accounting which the UPA government had followed. Your budget allocations, the Bs were very high, and when the actual expenditure was seen, compared to the budget estimate, it used to be always lower. Year 2015-16 was the first year where the actual expenditures were slightly higher than the budget expenditures. And the system of accounting followed was, you can say we are spending so much on development, and then from the month of December start cutting that expenditure. Each ministry used to be told, now you start spending less. If you spend less, you don't grow. For example, you mentioned that 2010-11, we sanctioned 40,100. That's what you planned in the budget. What you spent was 35,840. Last year, and each year, the same story was repeated. 2011-12, 40,000 provided in the budget, spent 29,250. How are we concerned with your promising the moon and not being able to even achieve it halfway? 2015-16, it will disappoint you because it defeats your argument. Budget estimate, 34,700. Actual expenditure, 37,340. Now, this year in the budget you read out, I had said the highest ever is going to be spent, 38,500. How much will we be spent? In the supplementary, I am adding another 5,000. So it is being made 43,500. So please.
Actually, it is 60,000.
No, let him have. Don't interfere. That is any.
So 43,500. And therefore, this argument that you are cutting down on this expenditure actually needs now to be reconsidered by you. There are items on Pradhan Mantri Bima Fasal Yojana, Price Stabilization Fund for Pulses, disaster relief, metro projects in Chennai and Delhi, telecommunication infrastructure in Gram Panchayats, strategic crude oil, assistance to Seychelles, development of the Chabar port for externally aided projects. Now that's the entire list of items on which it is proposed to spend these additional 23,000 odd, which is mentioned in the supplementary project, in the supplementary grants itself. Adhyaksh ji, इस वक्त क्योंकि जब सप्लीमेंट्री ग्रांट आती है तो स्वाभाविक है कि आर्थिक स्थिति देश की क्या है इसके ऊपर चर्चा हो जाए। तो एक तो वास्तविकता है कि पूरे विश्व में आज भी एक बहुत बड़ा चुनौतीपूर्ण माहौल बना हुआ है। हर बार जब आईएमएफ अपने एस्टिमेट्स देता है, आकलन देता है, तो वो ये आकलन से स्पष्ट होता है कि विश्व की जो विकास दर है आर्थिक, वो कम होने वाली है। और ये सब चुनौतियां हैं और इन चुनौतियों में से विचित्र प्रकार की परिस्थितियां पैदा हो रही हैं। दुनिया में अलग अलग देश अपनी करेंसीज को लेकर कोशिश कर रहे हैं कि मेरी करेंसी सस्ती हो जाए ताकि मेरा व्यापार बढ़ जाए। कंपेटिटिव डिवैल्यूएशंस आर टेकिंग प्लेस। Interest rates in some countries have gone into the negative zone. Japan is an example. Today I was just reading that Britain has further cut down interest rates now to 0.25%. So which is a record low in the history of United Kingdom. So various unconventional policies are now being attempted by various governments because the global growth is slow. And countries are not able to make up their mind and find an answer how long this situation is going to last. The situation is so serious. Any uncertainty in one part of the world impacts the other. The impact of Brexit is not going to be merely confined to the United Kingdom. It has its ripples all over the world. If trade shrinks, it shrinks for everybody. And that is one of the big challenges for India. Our trade was shrinking for almost 18-19 months. Last 1 or 2 months, there are some signs of revival of exports. Under this situation, what is the state where India today stands? In the first year, 2014-15, we grew by 7.2%. Last year, we grew by 7.6%. For 2 consecutive years, we were the fastest growing amongst the major economies in the world. And I hope this year also we retain that position.
No, please, let him finish. No, don't interfere like that. No, please, wait. You continue. No. Adhir Ranjan, please take. After the speech is over, if it is necessary, you can ask before. Don't divert. Don't divert that. It will applicable to everyone.
The Central Statistical Organization, the CSO, functions fairly autonomously and professionally. It's the same body which has consistently dealt with India's economic data. So when they revise their data and they revise their methodology, they revise it with effect from 2011. And when they revise it with effect from 2011, 2 to 3 years of the UPA government also got revised. Now, so-called experts may raise their own questions, but when the IMF accepts this data, and that is probably the most credible organization as far as data of growth within the world are concerned, I think cavalier opinions expressed by others without going into the detailed methodologies itself may not carry much weight. Sir, but we also have our challenges. And our challenges are still grave. As I mentioned, one of the challenges that we faced was because the world trade was shrinking, our exports were also shrinking. And exports contribute to the GDP. But fortunately, the last 1 or 2 months have seen a revival. We'll have to wait for a little more period to see whether this revival data for the last 2 months is patchy or is it a part of a pattern. The global environment is unsupportive. And we have to accept that. These are adverse global situations. We also have a problem that 2 years in a row we had a very bad monsoon. And a bad monsoon impacts on demand, particularly rural demand, which can have a spiral effect on the economy itself, besides adversely impacting growth in agriculture. And one other challenge, Shri Mohammad Salim is not, he is not here.
He's not here.
It's a challenge which he raised, which relates to the public sector banks. Now, these public sector banks, because of whatever reasons, we've discussed them in this house even earlier, so I'm not going to repeat the argument. There are unacceptable levels of NPAs. Now, I don't want to reduce it to a debate that the loans were given during which government's period or otherwise, because ultimately these are commercial decisions banks take. So I am not going to get into an analysis of just relying on a blame game, because that won't solve the problem. One of the harsh realities is that some sectors have been adversely affected, and therefore those adversely impacted sectors have to be rectified. And I have repeatedly in this house also made a detailed statement only last week how the steps which we are taking in order to revive those sectors. The inability of the banks to support growth because of their own condition also has an impact on private sector investment. It is seeing some revival. The banks are actually showing operational profit. Operationally, they are all earning profit. But provisioning for those NPAs has to be done under the RBI norms. And therefore, once you add the provisioning, the profit then is not visible. In this environment, one important silver lining for India has been that oil prices have come to our rescue because we are the net buyers of oil. And being the net buyers of oil, we are able to save certain amount of money because of oil. There are other positive factors. And amongst the positive factors besides oil, I think policy domain in India and policy changes which support growth, both at the level of the central government and the state governments, is changing and evolving very fast. Yesterday's unanimous vote in the other house on the GST itself is reflective of the fact. I think more important than the fact that the bill got through is the fact that it got through unanimously amongst the members present. And I think this indicates the fact that everybody seems to be concerned that we need to take steps which help the cause of the Indian economy. And if we look at what is happening in various states, irrespective of political differences between the parties, state after state is now competing to ask for investment. States are concentrating on infrastructure building. States are concentrating on social sector schemes. And therefore, this environment of cooperative federalism itself and also competitive federalism between the states, I think, is a positive development which is taking place. On the investment side, because we stand as one of the few islands of growth in the world, most countries are either going down or are maintaining a very modest level of growth. So the investors are wanting to put their money in countries which are growing, and India's needs for investment is very huge. We have the largest rural road building program in the world. We have the largest highway building program in the world. We need to build more ports. We have a railway modernization program. We have the largest number of airfields which we intend to create. Renewable energy. Now, these are all sectors, and we have been prudent enough to open various sectors of the economy. And opening those sectors to the economy means that investment itself becomes a starting point. And there are two important starting points for that investment in India which are evident today. One is an increased public investment. So between center and states, the capital investment in the country has increased significantly. And these capital project investments itself is leading to growth. The second, we have a significant increase as far as foreign direct investment is concerned. And more of it will come if we are able to conduct ourselves in a manner and increase our own credibility in the general body of investors, both within the country and outside. Sir, every body of investors that I meet within the country and outside, they are extremely happy with the kind of changes which have taken place. If we look at the last few months, the Aadhaar legislation, the bankruptcy law, and now hopefully the GST, these are very major reforms which have taken place in the Indian economy. The SARFAESI itself is a very important reform. These are a part of the reforms which are taking place. And in many parts of the world, it is unthinkable that a country would become so aspirational that it would start reforming and wanting to grow at this pace. Even conventional thinkers in various states have now realized that you need investment, you need infrastructure, you need industry, you need job creation, you need to invest in social sector, you need to invest in health, education, and so on. You can't say I'm concentrating on one and not the other. It will be incomplete completely. And therefore, in this environment, I think there is a big change which is taking place in the national mood. There are two concerns which are still expressed. Earlier, the concerns used to be it's very difficult to do business in India. And they used to measure us by our very hopeless rankings, 142 out of 189 nations in the World Bank ranking on the ease of doing business. And suddenly you start having a more smoother system where permissions are now coming, whether it is FIPB. 95% of foreign investment coming into India is now on the automatic route. So they don't have to wait in queue for years. Environmental clearances where they are to be given and where they are not to be given are becoming a matter of course. Most people concede that there is a huge dip as far as corruption is concerned at various levels. There is an attempt by governments, both central and states, to organize investor conferences to woo investments into their own states. So state governments are also trying to open single window clearances, etc. Last year we improved by 12 points. This year I am hoping we will improve by even more as far as the ease of doing business rankings are concerned. After all, investment will create jobs. Investments will lead to more economic activity, more revenue. But there are areas we are still to improve. For instance, in laws relating and permissions relating to land and construction, real estate, our ranking is 183 out of 189. It's a nightmare to get a land, to get its user changed and then get municipal permissions at various stages to construct. So the investor will always ask a question. The government policy in FDI is expanding. The chief minister has signed an MOU. FIPB clearance is very easy. Environmental clearance is very easy. But I have spent the last 3 years with the municipality, not getting a permission. And therefore, these are areas where we require a very significant stage. And I'm sure states will also realize that these are local laws which are required to be changed, which should change in this particular course itself. And so with all this happening, I think there is a big silver lining that this year, after 2 consecutive years of bad monsoon, so far we are seeing a very good monsoon in the country itself. And the result of this good monsoon is that this will give rise to rural demand. ग्रामीण क्षेत्रों में जो डिमांड है वो बढ़ेगी, प्रोडक्ट्स की डिमांड बढ़ती है. जैसे पिछले कुछ वर्षों में हम लोग देख रहे थे, कार की सेल बढ़ती थी लेकिन ट्रैक्टर और स्कूटर और मोटरसाइकिल की बढ़ नहीं रही थी, क्योंकि ग्रामीण क्षेत्रों में उनकी खरीदारी ज़्यादा होती है. तो क्योंकि 2 साल बरसात अच्छी नहीं हुई तो लोगों के हाथ में वो पैसा नहीं था. लेकिन जब रूरल डिमांड बढ़ती है और सीमेंट, स्टील, ट्रैक्टर्स, 2 व्हीलर्स, इन सब की सेल बढ़ती है तो उसका उद्योग के ऊपर भी असर पड़ता है. तो इस वर्ष मैं उम्मीद करता हूं कि केवल कृषि उत्पादन से ही जीडीपी को लाभ नहीं होगा, लेकिन किसान के हाथ में जो पैसा आएगा उससे जो उसकी खरीदारी की क्षमता बढ़ेगी, उससे भी अर्थव्यवस्था को लाभ होगा. और इस परिस्थिति में 2 बड़े प्रश्न पूछे जाते थे. जो पहले पूछे जाते थे कि भ्रष्टाचार बहुत है, ये वो अब प्रश्न ज्यादा नहीं आते. ईज ऑफ डूइंग बिजनेस को लेकर भी प्रश्न कम हुए हैं. लेकिन 2 प्रश्न, आप जीएसटी कब पारित करेंगे, कब लागू करेंगे, और आपके देश में बैंक्स की स्थिति क्या है. The whole world is concerned with these 2 questions. And I think one of these 2 questions we'll shortly find an answer to. And the second, we are struggling now to improve the situation. The government, therefore, from the budget resources also, we are funding our banks. We are empowering by law our banks to recover dues. And various other steps which are being taken with regard to improving the health of those sectors, we'll try and find that solution. And therefore, under the situation, we can remain one of the important centers of growth, even in a slowdown environment as far as the world is concerned. Taxation pranali, डायरेक्ट टैक्सेस, इस देश में एक माहौल बनाना पड़ेगा कि लोग टैक्सेस दें। पप्पू यादव जी बैठे हैं, इन्होंने 2 सुझाव दिए। अब इन पे तो निश्चित रूप से विचार हो सकता है, लेकिन टैक्स अबॉलिश करना तो कोई उत्तर नहीं होगा। वो दार्शनिक प्रश्न हैं जो आपने उठाए हैं, लेकिन टैक्सेशन की दर रीजनेबल रहे और टैक्स किस तरह से न दिया जाए इसका प्रयास करना, ये जो 2 सोच एक देश में प्रचलित थी, उस सोच को भी बदलने का हम लोग प्रयास कर रहे हैं। मैं बेनामी कानून के दौर पारित करते वक्त ये बहस हुई है, इसलिए दोबारा उस चर्चा में नहीं जा रहा। कई ऐसे उद्योग हैं बिजली के क्षेत्र में जिनमें बहुत बड़े सुधार हुए हैं। सामाजिक सुरक्षा, सोशल सिक्योरिटी, फाइनेंशियल इंक्लूजन के माध्यम से हर व्यक्ति को बैंक के साथ जोड़ना, उसके अतिरिक्त सस्ते दर की बीमा योजनाएं लाना, सस्ते दर पर छोटे छोटे लोगों को मुद्रा योजना में ब्याज मिलना, पैसा मिलना, कृषि सिंचाई से लेकर क्रॉप इंश्योरेंस तक, कृषि बीमा तक ये योजना लागू करना, गरीब आदमी को गैस के चूल्हे के माध्यम से लाभ मिल सके। और इस दृष्टि में मैं ये कह दूं कि इस देश के गरीब और कमजोर वर्ग को सब्सिडी मिले, सहायता मिले, लेकिन जो लोग उसके लिए इंटाइटल्ड नहीं हैं उनको न मिले। तो आधार के माध्यम से भी यूपीए ने आरंभ किया था यूआईडी। उस वक्त सोच आरंभ हुई थी, बिल अलग प्रकार का था। हम में से बहुत लोगों को उसके संबंध में प्रश्न थे, लेकिन बाद में उसको परिवर्तित करके जो उसको सुधारने से, एवोल्यूशन से विचार बना है, उसका लाभ हुआ है। अब जहां पायलट प्रोजेक्ट केरोसिन का लिया गया, जहां लाखों लीटर जाता था, तो डुप्लीकेट एंटिटीज, अब उसका एलिमिनेशन होगा। कुकिंग गैस में उसका फायदा हुआ है और धीरे धीरे जैसे इसका फैलाव आएगा, स्कॉलरशिप्स में इसका लाभ हुआ है कि जो लोग इसको डिजर्व करते हैं उन तक पहुंचे, और जो बाकी पैसा सरकार के हाथ में आता है वो भी तो अन्य गरीब लोगों की सहायता के लिए इस्तेमाल होगा। तो ये सरकार की सहायता करने के जो कार्यक्रम है, सब्सिडी के जो कार्यक्रम है, उसका एक प्रकार से रैशनलाइजेशन है। एक बड़ा प्रश्न बार बार उठता है कि राज्यों के शेयर का क्या हुआ। अब आप जीडीपी के साथ लिंक करिए, अन्यथा उसको एब्सोल्यूट नंबर्स में देखिए। I have said this in the other house, Mr. Premchandran, but I would like to repeat in this house. The shares of the states is important, but we must all realize that India is a union of states. You have a union government and you have the states. That's the federal politics of India. India is not a confederation of states. India is not a confederation where you can either have no union or a weak union. The union government also needs funds. And therefore, any kind of economic thinking by which the union's funding itself becomes weak is also not in the interest of federal politics, of federal economics. Now today what is happening? States collect their own money, taxes. The central collects, I am without the GST. Center collects the taxes. Center from its shares gives 42% to the states. Of the balance 58, for various schemes, either 100% or 60% we further give to the states. And then the union needs funds, not only for salaries. After all, the union also has debt. Union has to service that debt. This fiscal deficit that we have, after all, it's a mounted fiscal deficit. Therefore, lakhs of crores goes every year in servicing that debt. Lakhs of crores goes for the defense and security of India. Lakhs of crores goes for paying salary bills. The pay commission itself has an additional burden of 1,02,000 crores on the union. OROP this year has a 12,000 crore annual burden on the union. And therefore, this whole argument that you must pay more, you must spend more, but when it comes to collection, you must put a cap on how much you collect. Such a thinking that spend more, give more to the states, but collect less yourself. This cannot stand the test of any economic logic. Why did you think I was addressing you? See, I was addressing Premchandran, and Khadgeji thought that the cap fits him. And therefore, we need a strong center, we need strong states. The policy has to be that we must collect what is optimum and what is fair. We must not tax our people unreasonably, but we must collect as much as is required for developmental activities. Both the states and the center, it applies commonly as far as we are concerned. Now, as far as the states are concerned, I think Mr. Abhishek Banerjee raised this question about the debt of the states. In the very first budget this government presented, I had said that there is an intergenerational equity as far as raising debt is concerned. For high fiscal deficit today, what is fiscal deficit? कि I am spending more than what I earn. कि मैं खर्च ज्यादा कर रहा हूं, मेरी कमाई कम है, और जो बकाया है मैं उधार ले रहा हूं, और मैं हर साल उधार लेता रहूं, उसको वापस ना करूं, and I should leave the next generation in debt. Now, I regret to say that this is exactly what has happened in states like West Bengal. I am not making a comment on the present government, that this is historically the position. Because governments borrowed much more than what they earned. They did not allow generation of economic activity to a certain level by which their earnings could go up. And the new generation which is ruling Bengal today finds that they have been left in debt. So they have no money to spend, very little money to spend on economic development. On the contrary, they are spending all their resources in repaying and servicing the debt, a very large part of it. The argument is correct, but then who has to repay the debt? The states have to plan their fiscal affairs in a manner, the center has to plan its own fiscal affairs in a manner that we service the debts that we have taken. I can't tell Mr. Anand Kumar that this year you should borrow more because I want to transfer my debt to you. If I have taken the debt, historically I have to service the debt. Debts can't be written off, somebody has to pick off the debt. This is what is happening to our electricity boards. And I think this is a lesson for all of us, that we have to raise a certain amount of revenue, take some measures in order to discharge the responsibility. Otherwise, what the last generation did to Mr. Banerjee, he should not do it for the next generation by adding to that debt. And therefore, the answer is you borrow as much as you can repay, and you conduct your economic activity in such a manner that your state earns more.
I take your point that we have to optimize our tax revenues both at the central level and at the level of the state. However, you have correctly identified the problem that our economy is facing right now. There are two engines of growth: FDI flows and public investment in infrastructure. You have conceded on the floor of this House several times, and also today, that there is practically no new domestic private investment. Our captains of industry, our capitalist class, had heavily invested in you, the BJP, during the election campaign, but they are refusing to invest in India today. Now, if in fact private investors remain in slumber, and you have to make higher levels of public investment, particularly for our infrastructure needs, this will have a bearing on the fiscal deficit that you just spoke about. And therefore, I would like to ask you, you had announced that you would have an expert committee to review the FRBM Act in the course of your budget speech. Please take this House into confidence as to the status of that expert committee, because we must spend both at the central level and also in our states on vital social sector schemes. We cannot ignore the poor and downtrodden people in our state. That is why we say in the responsibility to provide health, education, social infrastructure.
Thank you, Professor Bose. The same captains of industry, when they voted in West Bengal, you and I know who they voted for. They were also fed up of the last 35 years. Now, as a response to your question, you see, I had announced an FRBM committee. The FRBM committee has already been set up. It's functioning for the last 2 months. There are some 5 very eminent members in that committee, and they have been meeting experts. They've been studying the pattern across the world. They've been meeting experts in India. I'm told currently they are in discussion with almost every former finance minister available, so that they can share their experiences. And you are right, in the spirit of your question, that one of the ideas in their mind is that instead of a figure of fiscal deficit, can it be a range, so that we don't bind ourselves so tight that we have some element of flexibility, particularly because, let me say to the credit of the states, by and large the states have kept their fiscal deficit in control. In fact, the combined fiscal deficit of the states is better than the fiscal deficit of the center. And therefore, this is a question they are looking at. And I have given them time, I think, of 4 months, if only extensions are not needed. And I hope as and when the report comes, we'll put it in the public domain for discussion, so that this can impact on policy as far as future is concerned. Sir, there was a concern expressed about the fiscal deficit of the center. We are hopeful that we would maintain our projections as far as fiscal deficit is concerned, because there's either you spend less or you collect more. And so far there seems to be reasonable buoyancy as far as our collections are concerned. And this buoyancy is also related to the fact that it gets related to the extent of growth. And since growth seems to be reasonable this year, I think we'll be able to maintain that tax buoyancy. And therefore, at the moment at least, I'm advised that there is no serious challenge as far as fiscal deficit is concerned. As far as the devolution is concerned, I can only say this: let's not have a convention that we keep taking, the center gives more devolution to the states, and yet everybody says, I've got less. I am only waiting for the first state to come to me to say, I was better off under the 13th Finance Commission. They all say that, but not one has come back to say I was better off, so please revert back to that formula. I have said before this House, in the very first year, that is 15-16 of the 14th Finance Commission, states collectively got 1,88,000 crores odd, more than what they got in the previous year. If you take all the subtractions and the additions themselves into consideration itself. Sir, the other matters, I think on Monday we'll get an opportunity, therefore we'll get an opportunity to discuss this. Sir,
एमपी लैब को या तो खत्म कर दीजिए सर, बंद कर दीजिए या तो दे दीजिए।
Sir, you are the deciding factor.
रेस्पेक्ट घट जाता है।
The members are feeling something had to be done. That
today-
if you consider that, it will be, they all will be happy.
sir, today,
एमपी पर आरोप भी लग जाता है।
sir, today, not only the demand has come, but an advisory ruling has also come from the
No, not it. Not that, only request.
I'll certainly convey it to my colleagues in the government. I'll certainly convey it to my colleagues in the government so that this subject is also taken into consideration. Sir, I'm once again extremely grateful to the members who participated in this debate, and I would urge this House to.
Murali, so Mr. Murali, just Murali Mohan, you wanted to raise yours. Just I will call you.
Sir, let me know whether the government is going to consider to grant special category for Andhra Pradesh or not.
Right, right. Okay, that is your question.
I have only a few days ago, 2 days ago in this House said that we are fully conscious of the fact that justice has to be done to Andhra Pradesh because Andhra Pradesh had lost out as far as the division is concerned. And there are several set of decisions which we have already taken. Some are in the pipeline which we are taking. Some matters we are in active discussion to find out a solution to the problem. I had myself spoken to the Chief Minister yesterday, day before yesterday, and he's also going to be in town to discuss this. And I am quite hopeful of finding a solution to the satisfaction of the people of Andhra Pradesh.